Hey there, welcome. I am literally so excited to have you here with us today. In this explainer, we're going to tackle a super foundational concept in business law, how we actually legally say yes to a proposal. I know it sounds almost too simple, right? But the mechanics behind it are just absolutely fascinating. And understanding this whole shebang is going to completely change how you view your everyday interactions.
So let's kick things off with a pretty simple question. How do you legally say yes to an offer? I mean, think about the everyday actions you take to agree to things. You might sign a formal piece of paper, maybe just say sure to a friend, or even just nod your head. Well, today we are going to break down exactly how contract law takes these everyday agreements and sorts them into two very specific buckets.
Okay, let's dive into this. At its core, if we look at our business law notes, acceptance is simply defined as the assent or willingness expressed for a proposal or offer. To put that into the absolute simplest terms for us beginners, it just means you're showing you are completely willing to take a deal. If someone makes a valid offer, your acceptance is basically your legally recognized yes that brings the whole agreement to life.
Now, taking a look at these handwritten study notes, notice how they clearly point out a really fundamental rule here. It says, without an offer, willingness cannot be placed, right? You literally cannot accept something that hasn't been offered in the first place. It's like trying to answer a question nobody asked. And as these notes beautifully outline, once an offer actually is on the table, there are exactly two main categories of acceptance that we need to learn today.
Which brings us to our first category, express acceptance, or as I like to call it, the explicit yes.
So, express acceptance is highly explicit. According to the text, this happens when your agreement is spoken outside. And what that means is it can happen in an oral format, like actually using your physical voice, or in a written format, like signing a piece of paper. It's direct, it's clear, and it leaves absolutely no room for confusion between the two parties. You are explicitly stating your yes.
Moving right along to our second category, implied acceptance, the silent yes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this fascinating concept right from our source material. It says, when the offer is implied, meaning it's not spoken out, the acceptance is also implied. This means, believe it or not, you can actually enter into a binding agreement without uttering a single word or writing a single letter. Your actions and the context of the whole situation, well, they do all the talking for you.
Let's anchor this kind of abstract legal concept with a super relatable real-world example straight from our notes. Quote, waiter offering food is an additional service which is implied offer, and the tip given by customers is an implied acceptance. Think about it. When that waiter refills your water or brings you extra napkins, they aren't orally offering you a formal, spoken contract. And when you leave a tip on the table at the end of your meal, you definitely aren't signing a document, but it is a silent, action-based agreement that is recognized perfectly by the law.
Okay, let's wrap our heads around this by quickly comparing the acceptance types, express versus implied. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we've been talking about. Let's just walk through this simple side-by-side table together. Consider this your ultimate beginner's study guide. On the top row, we've got express acceptance, where the format is spoken outside, meaning, again, it's either oral or written. The real-world example here is just simply speaking or writing out your agreement. But then on the bottom row, we have implied acceptance. The format here is not spoken out. Instead, it's based entirely on actions, exactly like that classic example of a customer leaving a tip for a waiter. So the really crucial takeaway here is that the law recognizes both your explicit words and your totally silent actions. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. How many implied acceptances have you made today without even realizing it? Seriously, keep an eye out for those unspoken offers in your daily routine. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring the fascinating rules that govern our world. Catch you next time.